today, really pleased to invite on our guest, Andy Howes. Andy's on his self-build journey at the moment. Andy, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. We're getting towards the end, so we're pretty happy.
You see the light at the end of the tunnel, eh? That's why he's got a smile on his face. Good man.
Are you in yet, Andy, or are you not in yet?
We are not in. We'll be in about 5 weeks if everything goes to plan. So we should be in about 5 weeks. Yeah.
In for Christmas.
Well, my wife's given birth in 2 months, so we better be in 5 weeks.
Oh, congratulations! Wow.
So we kind of have to be in. So we're getting there.
What's your deadline on you?
Yeah, I was going to say there's ways of putting a deadline on, and then there's ways of putting a deadline on, and you've gone hard on that, Andy. I like it. I like your style. Excellent, Andy. We always kick these things off with trying to paint a picture for our listeners. Okay, and what we want is for our guests to be able to paint a picture, show us a little bit about what this house is going to look like, what this dream home is going to look like for you. So I don't know if you want to maybe tell us a little bit about square footage, location, roughly, is it near a river, is it a forest, is it a main street, whatever the case may be, but paint your self-build for us, Andy.
Yeah, so we're building in Sevenoaks. We purchased the plot from somebody who was selling off their garden. They spent about a year doing some of the kind of early surveys, trying to think about whether or not they wanted to actually do it, but they opted just to take the money and run, but not very far. So we bought the plot from them, and I would say it's a pretty good sized plot. The house is about 100 square meters each floor, so we have 2 floors, so 200 square meters, and then at the last minute we decided to convert the loft, so it's about 300 square meters. So that added some additional costs in at the end. It's timber frame, brick cladding, so to all extents and purposes you probably wouldn't know it's timber frame because it doesn't look like that on the inside or the outside. But nice traditional red brick, clay tiles, and it's looking pretty good at the moment.
Whilst we're on it, Andy, we'll get to construction in a bit, I suppose. But what made you build timber frame? Because most of our customers, at Mayflower, will use a timber frame system or more modern methods. I just find it interesting why everyone sort of tends to opt for that we work with.
Yeah, I think speed really. I mean, your frame goes up in a couple of weeks, and at that point you can kind of start looking at the inside, sizing up the inside, and get your brickwork going. And actually, when your windows are in, really you're kind of watertight to a certain extent, and your roof's on. You get going a lot quicker. That's our experience anyway. I don't necessarily know if it's any cheaper, but I think from a speed perspective, it definitely helps things.
Do you think from the risk point of view as well, as a self-builder maybe, and I'm assuming you're not in the trade and done one of these before, that it potentially sort of de-risks a little bit of that shell construction because it's off-site or no, not?
Yeah, I mean, we have done one before, so this is our second timber frame.
Okay.
I would say it depends on the quality of your timber framer. We had a gold standard for our first one. We needed to save a little bit on this one, and it caused some problems.
Interesting.
It was constructed well off-site. They lived pretty far away, so I think we paid a bit of a price. Unless your timber frame is perfect, you're going to pay for it down the line. So,
go on, let's unpack that for us because that would be a top tip potentially for people listening.
Okay. Yeah, so our timber framer came in 20k cheaper than the one we wanted to go with, so it was kind of a no-brainer for us. They came from Somerset, so they'd leave at about 3 or 4 in the morning, get onto site, and pretty much be as keen to leave as quickly as possible. I genuinely think they were pretty good timber framers, but I think their speciality was the timber frame. It was raining, the weather was awful. So I think you just wrap everything in one. You've got to be so precise, and when you've got a big house with a timber frame, if you're 10 mil off and you're 100 mil off at the end, and you've got your cavity, which is obviously a very fixed depth. If you're just off by a little bit, by the time you get to the end of that run of brickwork, you've got all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
So if I was to do it again, I probably would have gone with the more expensive one, just because we probably ended up paying that in terms of getting joiners in to fix some of the doors that were a little bit off, to get brickies that were having all these sorts of problems, and then we probably ended up losing that 20 overall.
Interesting. So did you guys I'll stick on the construction piece because I find this interesting. Are you sort of overseeing it as the PM, if you like, Andy, or are you have you got somebody in who's sort of overseeing it for you?
Yeah, so PM sub it all out, PM the whole thing, yeah, start to finish.
We did a podcast the other week, didn't we, Sam? And Reese basically said that he would recommend a PM for someone that hasn't done one before. Obviously, you've done one before. Did you have a PM on the last one, or were you sort of overseeing it as the PM, if you like? Is that why you've done it?
Yeah, so my father-in-law's been a civil engineer for about 40 years, and they've built a few houses. So they were there kind of holding our hand on the first one, and then this one a lot more removed. So we pretty much could kick on, and we did a lot of the first one. We didn't do
Okay.
as much of this one. I had some back problems, and wife was obviously not in a position to. So we kind of knew we could provide that quality check a lot better than the first one because it was all fresh eyes. I mean, it was like alien concepts to us. But for this one, we kind of can kick on and create the end-to-end project plan from day one, pretty much,
Yeah.
because we know
Yeah.
what everything's got.
Tell us about the plot, Andy. Just to rewind a little bit. Tell us about the journey around finding a plot. How did you do that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm probably not allowed to say the name of the website, but it was just a website where it came through. There's a couple of main ones out there which most people have probably signed up to, but it came through.
I mean, we can shout out. Are we going to get done for copyright? I don't think.
It was Plot Finder.
Okay.
So it was a great website. Came through. We went to have a look. Naturally, pretty dubious going into these things, but it ticked all the boxes. Pretty much check the planning. That's always the first thing you've got to do. Are there any significant restrictions on the planning that are going to impact the build, like moving sewers, for example, something like that? And then, put a little deposit, spoke to the neighbour, went out for like a drink and said to them, look, can we give you a little deposit to take it off the market? And spent 9 torturous months getting the self-build mortgage in place. So,
wow, 9 months to get your mortgage agreed?
Yeah, it was like peak kind of housing.
Oh, was it COVID?
Kind of COVID-y. Then they pulled the offer at the last minute. So we had to go back through the process to start again. So it was at underwriters and they pulled it, and then we had to go all the way back through to start again.
There was a period during the COVID time that pretty much every lender pulled their proposition. And lenders were only keeping offers in play that were already at legal offer. So I think we had 63 customers that we had to either penned completely, or there was the few that were still available that we could place. Thankfully, that's over with, like the COVID days. How did the COVID affect the actual build cost, Andy?
Yeah, say that again, sorry.
How did like the COVID and the material prices impact you guys if you were building over that period?
I mean, material prices probably doubled since we built the first house. I wouldn't say labour's gone up hugely, but I would say that the minimum labour price has gone up. So whereas before you might get a day labourer pretty cheap, for anyone to get out of bed these days, I would say is higher than it was before. So your overall your kind of overall labour costs, if you're doing your brickwork, I wouldn't say had gone up massively. But if you're getting people to do day rates here and there, then it gets more expensive for sure.
Interesting. So the plot, when you guys found it, went on to Plot Finder, had planning already.
Had planning, yeah. We got new planning, which was part of the reason the mortgage was difficult as well, because they'll only give you a mortgage on the actual plans you want to use. So we had to put new plans in, get them approved
before they release any funds. Yeah.
No, before they even put it through to offer and underwriters. So the biggest part of the mortgage acceptance process was completely held up. We needed the actual plans that we were going to use.
Yeah. Did you guys go bigger, Andy, or were you going smaller than the original plan?
Oh, we did go bigger. We didn't. We were quite lucky because a few houses down, precedent had been set for a massive house, so we knew what we could work with. We knew what height we could work with, and we knew what we could probably get away with. We also knew the neighbour really didn't mind that much, so we were kind of in a fairly strong position. We kind of knew we were going to get it, so we thought it was worth taking advantage of it. Really,
why not? So I assume the plot finding, that bit sounds relatively straightforward for you guys.
Yeah, straightforward, I guess. It's a balance, isn't it? It's when you're working with somebody who's selling off their garden, you get a bit more of a personal approach, but then you have to work pretty hard to keep them on board and to
Yeah,
help them understand, you're months behind schedule. Don't put it back on the market. We promise we're going to come good. So it was really, I mean, I would say to a certain extent it was as stressful as the build has been, because at any point they could have just pulled the plug, and it was hard getting a mortgage. It's not as easy as it was before. There's a lot more checks. They're a lot more thorough. The cost of living had taken your affordability down a lot,
increased. Yeah.
so it made it much more difficult for us, I think.
Did you, when you applied, Andy, were you in the sort of the rate increase time period where, Bank of England was going up every month, every review, or were you sort of prior to that?
Yeah, kind of. Our affordability was always changing, so
Yeah, that would have,
everyone knew how much you could borrow, and we were right on the limit of what we wanted. We
yeah,
had to really be quite economical with the build costs. And I mean, I did a very thorough justification for all of them, but they came in, I think, just under £1,000 a square meter, which is way below what the average cost is these days. But there was a lot
2000.
of caveats in terms of I'm just doing these costs to get the kitchen and the bathroom in to sign it off versus
Yeah, I got
actually.
you. Yeah, it was a tough time, that. So, as a bit of a side note, it's interesting to get feedback. We've started doing a free costing service for customers, like a fully quantified schedule from start to finish.
Mm.
From someone who's done two, is that handy? Because we're making the assumption that that is really handy to have. Like, it's a 100-page quantified schedule of all your materials and labour, or not really.
Yeah, I mean, for me, having a specific goal I had to work towards, and I'd done it before, I could do it. I
Yeah,
could do it. I
yeah,
actually think for people that are doing it for the first time, or maybe they're not their mortgage, they've got a bit more flex in it. It's definitely a really useful service because it comes under a lot of scrutiny. So there was a lot of
it,
people I had to convince that it would
massively.
work.
Particularly at £1,000 a square meter, I think we would. I'm probably confident. The guys will probably tell me that I'm wrong, the brokers, but I'm pretty confident we wouldn't be able to place that anymore at £1,000 a square meter. It's
No,
just too low.
I think we just about got it through. There was loads of caveats in terms of this,
Sure.
this, and this. Just about scraped through.
Interesting. Who was your lender? Just out of interest.
Uh, Dudley? Dudley.
Okay, interesting. So design was already done when the. Sorry, Sam.
That's exactly where I was going. I was like, yeah, I wonder what the design actually like. Yeah. Talk to us about the design. Any sort of challenges you had around that? Was there any changes that you had to make, or things that you had to compromise on that you would have rather not? Any lessons from the first one that you did to the second?
Yeah, so for the first one, we never really changed the plans. So we made some internal changes, which didn't really need to go back through planning. But for this one, we did need to change sizes. So we were in a little bit of a difficult position that architects, we didn't really want an architect to go the whole hog and create something for their portfolio, but a draftsman wasn't really able to visualize some of the changes we were making. So we ended up using my wife's brother, who was an architect. He actually came in and kind of made the final set of plans. We probably could have got the final set of plans done by a draftsman, but you really need that final set of plans to be watertight, so it ties in with your brickwork levels, so it ties in with where your windows and doors are going to go, because those are the plans that go out to everybody. It goes out
Yeah.
for quotes, it goes out for your timber frame designs, it goes out for window sizing. So it's a really difficult area sometimes when you don't want to onboard an architect to do the whole thing end to end, but a draftsman also is maybe not the right person because it's not a back, it's not a back extension.
And do you think having your brother-in-law who was the architect gave you that happy medium, whereas others who maybe might not have that personal connection would be that potentially could be a hurdle where you're in that grey ground?
Yeah, I think so. I think again we were quite lucky. We were quite lucky as well because again we know about tying in brick sizes, we know about window sizes and stuff. So we could kind of fill in some of the gaps. But I also think there's a lot of architects out there who've been in the industry for a long time that actually haven't done a self-build end to end. I have some friends and has been working on a proposal in Richmond for a multi-billion-dollar project fully qualified architect, but actually didn't have the confidence to do end-to-end building regs planning of a self-build, which kind of blew my mind. But it kind of just shows that it is a kind of a different ball game to your standard architecture or whatever that is.
Interesting. So construction-wise, then, did you guys? I assume because you built timber frame before, you were adamant that's the route you wanted to go down because of the success of the first one.
Yeah, timber frame was on the table from the start. We had a lot of problems with the foundations, so we did in chalk last time. That was our first build. Foundations were about, I don't know, half a meter. They were really, really shallow. We were in clay this time, and then we had some challenges with our building control. I won't say who they are, but we had some challenges where I think there was a hawthorn tree that had about a 5 centimeter diameter trunk. I think it was about 2.5 meters away, and he made us go 3 meters down into the clay in August, which was a very wet August, as you can imagine. They kind of collapsed a couple of times. We ended up having to get people in to put hoarding up and shuttering, and then we ended up doing a block and beam floor in the end. But actually, I think we should have done a block and beam from the start, and we should have just got a structural engineer in from the start. It's difficult finding that balance with what we'd done the first time because it was a slab. It was super easy. The foundations were so shallow.
So if there's anyone else doing it, then it sounds like ground conditions are like, if someone who's never done it before, should they be on point when it comes to ground conditions?
Yeah, I mean, getting out of the ground is where you can make or break your budget.
Yeah.
Didn't break ours, fortunately, because, like I say, civil engineer in the family, so it helps offset bringing in a groundworks team that would cost you an arm and a leg. But I think getting in a groundworks team early and understanding that and really working out what is the best thing for your site is going to save you a lot of money in the long term.
So you had the timber frame manufacturer come in and erect, because I know you said you had a few issues with the timber frame system. Did they come and they did the erection, and then you guys managed sort of subcontractors for the skin, fit out, windows, etc.?
Yeah, they did design an erection. They did loads of other stuff. Maybe it wasn't their strength. So I think in hindsight, that was, because they'd done such it looked like a pretty good job on the timber frame. We brought them in to do other bits like soffits, fascias, wall frames, just kind of other, various bits, which we ended up paring back and, at the end of it. So yeah, they kind of came in and did, most of it, but got a timber frame up for us. Yeah.
And then
what made you add on the third floor of the attic to take it from 200 to 300? What was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I assume no one from Sevenoaks County Council's watching this or whatever, but
we have an audience of 6 and we're 3 of them. It's fine. You should be okay.
Yeah. No, Sevenoaks County Council. We had to get the roof a bit higher. Clay tiles mean you have to have a 35-degree roof. So by the time the roof went up a little bit, still within the house 3 doors down or whatever, it just was an opportunity we couldn't miss. And then there was a long discussion about, do we put in the staircase after and kit it out in the short term? And we eventually just went the whole hog. We put the stairs up there, put very expensive king span between all the rafters to make to make it work. And it's an amazing room. We've got a roof coming across the front and then a gable coming out the back. So you've got 2 rooms at the front, but then this huge long room going back with a pair of French doors right at the end.
Beautiful.
Amazing room. More expensive has impacted the budget, but yeah, an amazing room.
But worth it. What are you going to use it for?
Not sure yet. Probably lock the kids up there. So
yeah.
So one on the way in 5 weeks, and you guys have obviously got little ones already.
Got one little one already and one on the way. At the end, you look at it now, you'd go, "That's no way that's going to be ready in 5 weeks." But you've got someone coming in to spray, second fix plumbing, second fix electric. You've got the external drainage being finished off outside. So it all happens really, really quickly. So if you looked at it now, you'd probably not think it's going to, you probably would say 5 weeks, good luck. But actually, these last few bits, surprisingly, second fix and the final stage, I think it's the 5th stage, right?
Did you find that with your first one as well? Was it a little bit faster towards the end than it was the beginning? Because I think that's probably quite a nice tidbit for people who are maybe going at this their own, who maybe don't have experience in the family and may lose a little bit of enthusiasm and motivation halfway through when it's dragging and dragging. There's complications and challenges. Actually, it can speed up towards the end. Is that your view, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of stuff at the start which is out of your control. Weather. I think we had brickies on site for 4 months because they were coming in almost a day a week because we had so much rain, which is fortunate for a timber frame because you can still crack on the inside. But when you get to the kind of those final stages, you've got your kitchen being fit, you've got your plasterers in, your plasterboarding, first fix joiner if you need to move any walls or anything. It's really within your control. But it just takes a lot of organisation because it's literally one person comes in, one person goes out, one person comes in, one person goes out, because you don't really want people working on top of each other. It never ends well. But if you can get those people kind of one after another, then that final bit can just go pretty quickly.
That come up in a podcast we did the other week as well, wasn't it, Sam? Managing the sort of first, second fix. Like how important it is to manage people on site and then being on top of each other or not being on top of each other and managing that sort of workflow. So that's a top tip. Have you got anything else, Andy? Like for people that obviously you've done too, so perfect person to ask, I suppose, is someone who's doing their first one, because most people that do a self build tend to only do one. What sort of 2 things would you say, apart from the things you've already mentioned, would be the priority of the top tip, let's say, to bear in mind when they're looking to get building?
I would say,
you on the spot.
Yeah, a couple of things. Finding land is hard, particularly in the southeast. There's no doubt about that. But if you know what you're looking for, it's out there. Always check the planning. Planning will help you make a decision on whether you should purchase a plot or not. And really, if you can find someone that's got a bit of experience that you can kind of consult, that will mean you don't have to do a package deal for a builder to do the whole build, and that will save you tens, if not hundreds of thousands, depending on the size of your build, if you can sub it out. If you can sub it out, you can maintain the quality. If you put it out to tender for a builder to do all of it, it's going to blow your budget from day one, really.
And I'm assuming you're referring to a good PM there that can look after everything for you. Give the firm a shout out, Andy, that you use for the project management.
No, we do it. We do all the project management.
Sorry, I thought you said you got somebody in as a PM on this project.
Oh, so full-time job, and then we PM outside of 9 till 6, 7. Whatever.
Sorry, misunderstood. Oh wow! So you guys have been I thought you had a full-time project manager. I thought you said the last one you project managed, and this one you got somebody in.
The last one we project managed and did a lot of the building work. This one we project managed, but have got a lot more sub.
Oh wow, good for you.
Yeah.
That's been tough then.
Yeah, anyone can project manage, but I think project managing can be done. But I think if you can find someone you can lean on a little bit that has that experience, it's invaluable because they'll help you make decisions or influence you in the right way that will prevent costly decisions in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing.
Project managing, a baby on the way, and you've still got a full head of hair. If you could give our listeners some tips on how to manage that would be wonderful.
Yeah, the last one wasn't as bad, so this one was worse than we were expecting. But it's coming to an end, so we're all happy now.
Will you do another in the future, do you think?
If I did another, I'd take some time out and do this full time. It's way too difficult. You can't leave, like, as good as your trades are, you cannot leave them on site unsupervised. You may exceptionally get some that you can, and then will call you if they're not sure. But by and large, no matter how good the trade is, if you're not on site and watching them regularly, you will end up being delayed because they think like a trade rather than like the person who has got the plans and is living in the house at the end.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Can I just, before we cut off, Andy, can I just get some feedback from you on something, being a self-builder? Would would something that would enable you to get all of your materials priced at, say, at 10 different merchants within a 50-mile radius of your project have been helpful for you at the beginning?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Trying to
interesting.
compare sand prices, cement prices, plywood prices,
Yes.
CLS prices. Each time trying to get the best price. If there's an easy way to do that, would save you hours. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Andy. Like,
Yeah,
I
Andy,
appreciate it.
really, really appreciate that. Like, good, valuable lessons to be taken from that. And yeah, mate, good luck with everything.